who's back in your feed, beauties. This is Tits and Teeth, your musical theater podcast. I am Kyla Musselman, and my Aussie dream wifey, who you'll hear from shortly, is, of course, Jen Thiessen. We are thrilled to be back in your earbuds with one of the very best, the creative, astounding, remarkable director and choreographer extraordinaire, Tracey Flye is here. She shares her herstory as a theater artist and creator with us, and we talk about this badass new endeavor we've taken on, the Canadian Guild of Stage Directors and Choreographers. Okay, yes. This is a bit of a Canadian story today, but we want to give a big shout out to our international listeners as well, because we love ya, and we love that you've stuck with us throughout this journey. And honestly, the stories and conversations we've had with many of our guests from outside Canada have, opened our eyes, gotten us all jazzed, and helped inspire us to take action here in Canada and take this step to enact the change we want to see in our industry. So thank you. Thank you to all of our listeners. We're obsessed with you. Okay, but please know we will continue to bring you stories from the brightest and most incredible artists from across North America and the world. So stay tuned to this season. We've got lots in store for you. So let's dive in. Let's catch up with Jen and Kai and then get to the juice of it all. Tracey Flye.
Hello, gorgeous. Here we are. Welcome back.
Yes, haven't heard from us in a while. We missed you.
In a while, crocodile.
Yes.
Here we are. What is happening, Kyla Musselman?
Kyla Musselman. A lot of good things are happening. Lots of new stuff. How are you, Jennifer Claire Thiessen?
I'm good. I am good. We are ready and raring because we come to you for a special announcement today. What is happening, Kai? What are we introducing to the peeps today?
I know. Everyone's been wondering, where are you? What are you doing? Where's Tits and Teeth? What's up? Well, people of the world, we have been busy.
So busy. So busy.
For the last couple of years, we've been developing the Canadian Guild of Stage Directors and Choreographers, which just launched last week, September 6th. So she's active.
Oh my goodness.
She's doing it.
The last couple of years.
Years.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, well, Gemma, what is the Canadian Guild of Stage Directors and Choreographers?
Excellent question.
Right,
Okay, we're going to get to what it is, but we want to start with why did it happen? And the reason we're starting with why is because it developed out of our Tits and Teeth family. Mm-hmm. We had the conversations and what was being brought to us, we wanted to make some solutions. We wanted to make some actionable solutions. So we kept having the same problems that were coming back and forth. And specifically, one was about assistants and associates and those positions not really being recognized or paid in Canada. And it came to us, and then it would come to us again. And eventually we threw our hands up in the air and we said, well, we've got to bloody do something about this.
We might as well do it.
So then what happened?
Well, then we keep using this word. We had the audacity to contact some of the most wonderful stage directors and choreographers here in Canada, and we were like, hey, you want to join our board and enact this change with us? And to our surprise,
everyone said yes.
They said yes.
Oh my goodness. So then we were like, what do we do now? So we were like, let's write a constitution.
And I was like, what's that? Let's look it up.
Let's figure it out. So we started with the idea of looking after assistants and associates. And when we had gathered all those brilliant stage directors and choreographers, literally Canada's leaders, the best in the biz, we realized that it's much larger than just that.
Yes, we needed to create an umbrella, because where are those assistants and associates going? They want to be our directors and choreographers of the future. So we needed a bit more of an umbrella, a membership that can be comprised of our Canadian stage directors and choreographers, where they can meet, have more conversations that deal with the issues that need to be taken care of, the change we need to see.
We're trying to step away from the conventional path and just to try and broaden out our industry and let more people in. So just trying to build different pathways.
And demystifying those paths, because there's been many conversations of how do I even get involved? Where do I start? What do I do? How do I do that? So we're trying to give you some new paths, give you some options, give you some connections, make it a more habitable, I don't know, place where like more people can come. Yes, more people in the industry, more people doing the thing.
Yes. So then we started to write some grants and we were like, how do we get people paid? Of course, theatres coming out of the pandemic are not going to have more money.
No.
So where do we find that money? I'm like, yeah, if there's a will, there's a way. So we started to write grants and started to see if we could discover ways so that we could possibly pay people and we could figure out a way to get money in the pockets of those who are on this creative endeavor. And we're still on that path. We're still, I mean, donate today to CGDC Web, but we're doing our best for that. So throughout that process, of course, more education, more knowledge comes more power. So we discovered things that we didn't know. For example, do you want to give some of those statistics, Kyla, that we were talking about earlier?
Yeah, we had, just within our grant process, we were, finding stats of, well, what are the actual numbers? And really what the biggest number that came about for us was that compared to inflation, the rate increases that directors and choreographers were getting, with the CAEA contracts in the last few years, there's always a rate increase. But comparing that to the inflation, and this has probably even gone up more because, inflation is crazy, we're actually in a negative 3.1%. We have had actually no wage increases compared to the rising costs of everything that life is. So we're not helping each other out. We need better contracts. We need better advocacy. We need to stand up for these rights.
So, oh my goodness. So, we went into more learning, more discovering, and, we're discovering the problems and those aren't solutions yet. So, another thing is we started to look at, who is leading theatres. We discovered that 61% of artistic directors across Canada are men, 50% of them are white men, 33% of artistic directors across Canada are women, 16% are BIPOC men, only 5% of artistic directors across Canada are BIPOC women. 5% of artistic directors across Canada are Indigenous men. 0% of artistic directors across Canada are Indigenous women. This is old information, so this is all up. This could be updated, but there's no public information available about disabled artistic directors in Canada currently. So, that's just some information that we discovered along our journey here. And, so that to us just means that we need to have more conversations and we need to gather people together to have these conversations. And of course we were like, how do we do that? Oh my gosh, we have to create a forum. We have to create it. If we want it, we have to create it. So that's what we've been doing. Oh my gosh.
Creating. It's been a wild ride. Literally learned so much and everything. So who is CGDC for? It's for everyone. We want to get everybody involved, but we want to tell you a little bit about the few programs we have working right now.
So first and foremost, if you want to be a CGDC member, so then that means you are a director or a choreographer in Canada. That means you have 4 professional directorial credits already. Then you are eligible to become our member. That does not mean if you don't have those credits that there aren't other ways you can get involved in CGDC. What else we got, Kai?
Currently open right now, we also have the mentee program. This is for our young and craft artists looking to become directors and choreographers. We want to expand your education, build connections, all of those good things. Again, demystifying. So the mentee program is available now. All you need to do is head to our website, again, CGDC Web. And there will be an application form. You have to upload 2 reference letters from directors and choreographers. You need to answer a few short form questions and you need to upload your theater resume. And then we can pair you with a CGDC mentor. Somebody from our membership will be a mentor to you.
And that can be at any stage of your career. Yes. So it doesn't mean like mentees. It doesn't mean that you have to be at the beginning stage of your career. No. You could be, right on the cusp of being a choreographer. In fact, you could have 3 choreography credits and we you might want to be paired with a director or somebody that you hope to work with, etc., etc. So wherever you are along your journey, we believe that we will be able to help you out. And then, of course, our assistants and associates program is it's something in the future. It's something that we're working towards.
Oh, it is being worked on. It's happening. It's going to happen. Happening. We are going to get those assistants and associates paid in theaters across Canada, actively working in those titles under esteemed artists around the country. That's the goal.
Gosh, that's a giant goal, but we're going to do it.
Oh, it's happening.
You can donate today. If you believe in this goal, if you believe in us, get to it, cgdcweb.com. But first, what are we doing, Kyla?
Well, of course, we had to sit down and talk with the chair of our board, Tracey Flye. Again, agreed to be the chair of our board. We were like, hey, girl, what's up? You want to do this? And she was like, yes, I want to do that. That was a yell. So we have a beautiful conversation with Tracey Flye today.
Here we go. Do not worry. Do not fear. We did not change our structure. We will be starting with 60 Seconds with the Godfathers. Who's the Godfather?
Jen and Kai, the Godfathers.
Okay. Here we go.
It's time for 60 Seconds with a Godfather. It's 60 Seconds with a Godfather. Not 20, not 30, not 40, not 50. It's 60 Seconds with a Godfather.
3, 2, 1, go.
Tracey Flye, cup of sass or cup of sweetness?
Sass.
Bob Fosse or Jerome Robbins?
Oh, come on.
Pick it. Come on.
Robbins.
Okay. Your reaction when you see someone walk into your audition room in a kitten heel?
Really?
True or false? Someone once danced their hair extensions out during a Tracey Flye audition.
Yes.
Fierce triple turn or fierce high kick? Or neither?
Fierce triple turn.
Oh.
Go-to move on the dance floor.
Oh, can I ask a question? Is it me dancing myself or just like
you're at a wedding. You're at a wedding. You've had a couple.
I'd probably do like a double or triple pencil turn.
Get it? Audition song that has been overdone and now you just like hate to hear it, loathe entirely.
Chandelier.
Interesting. That's a minute with Tracey Flye.
Okay. There you go. They go fast, don't they, Tracey?
They go fast. But I also screwed it up a bit because I had to ask for clarification. So.
That's okay.
She's a director. She needs to know. I do need to know who's your celebrity crush?
Of any time or of now?
I was gonna say of any time because like I always go back to my early 90s crushes. I don't know. Think about it.
Well, listen, when I was a kid, this sounds dumb. I loved Clark Gable. Don't ask me why, but I think it was because my mom loved him and we would watch old MGM and old movies. I loved Gene Kelly, like seriously loved him. I thought that potentially I could marry that man. One of my celebrity crushes, because I think that he is so brilliant, is Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
Honestly, because I just think he's a tremendously brilliant actor.
Yeah.
Where he's a babe
one of my
for
celebrity
talent.
crushes also, to be honest with you, is one would be Sammy Davis Jr. and the other one is Tina Turner. Like seriously, she is a freaking goddess.
That was all the crushes through the ages. Tracey Flye's celebrity crushes through the ages.
Now I just love my husband, but yeah.
Oh, sure. Tracey Flye, what would be the dream show you want to direct? And do you still have a dream role? Can we pull you out of retirement for said dream role?
You know, I don't know about that. Okay, one thing I've always wanted to do again is some years ago I did a production of The Rink, Canada Nev's The Rink. Oh. And I played Anna, and that was one of the most extraordinary experiences I've ever had. I've been able to play Velma in Chicago. I've been able to play Anita in West Side Story, but The Rink was amazing. And I have been threatening for some years now to want to do a small cast version of The Rink, and mostly in honor of one of my very most important mentors. His name was Tim Ryan, and he ran the theater arts program at Grant MacEwan in Edmonton, but was a huge supporter of mine, both as an actor, but also as a developing director and choreographer. And we did this really extraordinary production of The Rink. And now that I'm actually the age that I should have been to do the role, I've always wanted to do that. And if I was going to do it, I would come out of retirement for that.
Yeah. I don't even know. Can you tell me anything about that show? I don't even know anything.
The Rink was set during the 80s. It was a huge, well, it was not a good success on Broadway at all, because I think it should be an intimate show about a mother and a daughter and their relationship. And the daughter having moved away from a single mother and sort of tried to make her way on her own and comes back because she's in trouble. And it's about a woman who has had to fend for herself her entire life, like escaping a unhappy marriage and everything else, and then being on her own. And, you know, it's beautiful candor and ebb. I mean, there are some amazing songs, but I think it needs to be updated. It needs to be refreshed. It needs to be many things. But some years ago, I was working on a TV show called Triple Sensation, and John Kander was there, and I had a conversation with him, and I said, you know, one of my favorite shows you ever wrote was The Rink. And he was like, are you kidding? And I was like, no, I'm not actually. And I had a conversation, and I said to him, you know, this is where I think it's wrong. And this is where I think how I want to do it. And he said, and he was very generous at the time. And he said, if you ever want to do it, I'm behind you. Like, I'm behind you. So I know another of our friends, Ryan, has a good relationship with him. So I'm thinking if I ever get my act together, that would be the show I'd want to do. So I did. I had a good conversation with Mr. Kander about that. Ooh. I don't know whether I've had a dream show to direct. I think that I'd love to do. I'm so into development of original work right now, and so into that I think maybe it hasn't happened yet. Ooh. I've had the opportunity to direct West Side Story, which was a bucket list show for me. Jen, you did one of those productions.
We did. Oh my God. Working on a Tracey Flye in that show is incredible.
And we had the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra playing for us too, which was brilliant. But I think that was one of my really one of my dream shows to direct.
Well, then who would one of your biggest influences be?
Interesting. I've been very, very fortunate to have had many, well, not many, but maybe 4 or 5 really strong mentors in my life. Aside from parental units who were incredibly supportive of everything that I did. They were both very artistic and in the arts and very understanding and couldn't have been more supportive of everything, no matter what. Mm-hmm. I think MGM musicals were huge influences in my early life, watching all that and all of that. But my early dance teacher, Ruth Karst, who was the founder of the Alberta Ballet and the Alberta Ballet Company, was someone who was a huge influence on me as a mentor. She was instrumental in being able to really foster a need for education, not just as a dancer, but an education past that you could always fall back on. Because as we know, our lives as dancers and performers can be short if there's injury, if there's anything like that. Mm-hmm. And she was a huge proponent, even though she was a founding member of a ballet company, that we all needed to have a decent education. We all needed that. And she really instilled in all of us this love of art, this love of creativity. So even if we couldn't perform anymore, or even if you didn't get there, mm-hmm. you could actually be a part of it in a very meaningful way. Mm-hmm. So she was huge. I mentioned Tim Ryan already, who was unbelievable. The late Robin Phillips, I was an assistant to him over 3 seasons at the Citadel, and he was an incredible individual to watch work in terms of his ability to see things in an entire picture. He could imagine things from beginning to end before we even got there. Some people have very differing opinions of him and his way of working. I saw all sides, but I truly appreciate what he was able to instill in me and mm-hmm. support me. And Steven Shipper is another person who was the artistic director at the Royal Manitoba Theatre Center for many, many years. Kelly Thornton took over for him, but he was a huge supporter of myself, especially in getting me to direct large productions and non-musical theater as well. He was like, you're going to do this. Because as you saw in our conversation before we started this, me going, I don't really think I have anything to say. Him saying, so you're going to do this next season. Ha 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 ha. And he was very influential in my life in terms of giving me a platform to do those things.
Wow.
So it's so exciting because you're one of the I know that you hate to hear this, but you are one of the largest names in Canadian musical theatre. You have, your reputation and the things that you've done is huge in Canada, and so it's really important for us all to learn about the people that influenced you and how keeping those names alive, and then your name and the people that you mentor, and as we all go forward, it's Canadian theatre history, which is really exciting. I can't wait to dive a little bit more into mentorship, and we're going to talk about why that's important shortly, but I am just going to gush about Tracey Flye a little bit more. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said before, she's one of Canada's leading directors. She's directed some of Canada's largest commercial theatre shows. She's directed at the Stratford Festival and the countless regional productions across the country. Your choreography on Evita at the Vancouver Opera was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. You're at the helm of the Ross Petty Panto each year. There is just so much to say about this incredible woman, and we love her. She's a great time. But so within all of that, within all of those wonderful shows, do you have a favorite show that you've ever directed?
Well, as I said before, directing West Side Story was huge, was amazing. I directed, I don't know, everything is it's so hard. It's like saying, who's your favorite child? Which one of the kids is your favorite? And I think in every show I've done, it's been about learning something new. So every one that I finish, I mourn and it's a favorite. It's like you gestate, you give birth, and then you walk away and hope for the best. But I did a really cool production, a new production of Jane Eyre some years ago, the play. And it was done very much in a black box kind of set. We were on a huge stage, but we created every room, every area. We used actors as horses that Rochester, rode in on and did all kinds of stuff. And it was really interesting because it was sort of a second production of a brand new adaptation of the classic novel. And it was a non-musical piece, but it was so fun to invent all of it. I did a great production of the Penelope-ad that I loved. I absolutely loved directing that. Nikki Phillips wrote the entire soundscape for me, rewrote everything and underscored it all for me. And it was quite brilliant. I did a great production of Venus in Fur that I really loved, Buyer and Seller. I could go on. And I mean, honestly, every year that I get to do the Panto that you mentioned is something amazing because we write a brand new show, a brand new musical every single year and put it up in 10 months, which is quite, it's quite involved, and it is a lot of work. But I think for myself, that imagination, being able to do new stuff is really interesting. I like reimagining other things. Like I had the blast doing Hairspray with George Wendt, like amazing time. Doing Kiss Me Kate at Stratford was really amazing for many reasons, and working with John Doyle. I was the choreographer and stager, and that was amazing too. But it's hard to say one. I don't think I could ever pick one. Hence my blah, 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 blah.
No, we're here for it. That's so much history, and like getting to, well, it sounds silly, but know your resume a little bit more and remember, like, you've had this incredible diverse career of being able to direct plays and then new musicals and like comedies and dramas and all the things. Yeah, you have a very widespread.
I do.
influence.
And I will say, like, I've also had the opportunity, and this speaks to, you know, assistants and associates and how you kind of come up through things, to do a lot of that in my life, and then take over productions, you know, like large commercial productions as a resident or an associate. And you learn a tremendous amount that way too. Obviously, I will say here's one of the most amazing productions I ever worked on was War Horse. Yeah. It was one of the most extraordinary experiences of my life, honestly, in theater life. It was unique and amazing, working with the puppetry, working with Marianne Elliott, working with Alex Sims, working with Handspring and all their puppetry and their genius. And, you know, watching all that happen is amazing. And same with Once, you know, looking at Hoggett's work, looking at John Tiffany and their imaginations. It's really, and you're working at Jen right now there. Yeah. So it's so amazing, right? And then again, long term with We Will Rock You, and basically taking over that show and being with like some really huge individuals, same with Mamma Mia, but getting a completely different perspective for different reasons as to why things happen, how they do, what their visions are. And literally, you know, you say, I have a lot of experience with some of those people. It's like, I can't even begin to understand their experience, and, you know, their scope of influence is pretty extraordinary. So to even be, you know, kind of in their light for a little while, you're kind of like, it's kind of like, huh? Dear diary. But it's all those, but I think everybody has those moments. And that's one thing that I will say is it doesn't matter whether it's big or small. Everyone has those moments where you dear diary things because you are influenced in a positive way. Hopefully something hits you, something resonates so deeply in you by your experience on anything that it helps to shape vision, or it helps to inform you as an artist, right? So all of these experiences, not all of them have been positive. Let's be honest. We don't all have fabulous experiences, but what it does do, if we look at it from a positive perspective, is say to us, what wouldn't I do? What have I learned from this? What was that thing that I would never put another artist through? What is the thing that I would love an artist to know, or to share with them, or to be part of, right? Mm-hmm. That this was amazing, or this was like, yeah, I'm never going to do that. You know. Yes. Anyway.
All right. We're going to dive into our new endeavor that is that we're all excited and anxious and tickled to finally share with the world. Okay. We are embarking on an endeavor called the Canadian Guild of Stage Directors and Choreographers. Mm-hmm. Tracey Flye, you are a chair. Can you please start to tell our listeners, what is that? Why is it necessary? What are we doing here? What? Why? All of them.
Well, once upon a time, way back in the past, once upon a time, there were two young ladies who had an idea about assistants and associates, and came to myself, and the two young ladies are sharing the screen with me right now, Jen and Kyla, and had an idea about how we would foster and support assistants and associates in Canadian theater and musical and non-musical stage productions. And upon having a conversation with you both, it became clear to myself and some of our colleagues that it was greater. It was bigger than that, right? It was bigger than just an assistants and associates program. It was something else, and it needed to have an umbrella. So the three of us and 6 of our closest friends, and by closest friends, I mean individuals who are well respected and well seasoned in our industry, not just in Canada, but have had experience, all over the world, as I have, as many as other people have, came together to create the CGDC. And it is a peer-run organization that is there to advocate for, support, musical directors and choreographers and non-musical directors and choreographers and their assistants and associates in our industry. We are endeavoring to create an organization that will foster mentorship, that will help drive that will expand access to our industry, that will try and support fair compensation and opportunity for all of those individuals. And as an umbrella organization, hopefully create a platform by which we can network with each other. Anyone who moves into the creative side of life after being a performing artist discovers very quickly that it is a lonely position to be in. It's very different. And I've heard from so many of my colleagues as they move through that, what the heck? Like, you're by yourself. And you're like, you are. It's no longer, I have the camaraderie of all my peoples. And when the show goes up, we leave. The artists and the company stay and have those amazing experiences running the show. But it is a lonely position. And I think this is also a way for us to try and create a platform by which we can network, where we can talk to our colleagues about experience, about questions, about challenges, and feel less alone. And that loneliness also can be improved, and I think it can be lifted by having an assistant or an associate, someone who is there as a sounding board, is there as devil's advocate, is there as at another set of eyes, and someone to stop you from second guessing yourself all the time, someone to share the workload in a different way, and while doing so can also gain experience so that they can move forward in their careers in the theater and continue to grow it, right? Continue to grow the industry. So the CGDC is hoping to do all of those things by, first of all, supporting those people who aim to do this for a living and support themselves solely in this endeavor, but also then try and create a program as the Assistants and Associates program to help foster the development of new and emerging creative directors and choreographers for stage.
Yeah, and so much of that has come from just so many conversations that we've had here and on the podcast and all of that. It's just so fascinating how really there's a path in order to become a director and choreographer. There's a clear path that you can follow if everything in your life is set up to be able to do that, and with that comes a lot of privilege. And for some people, there's a lot of obstacles. And I think we're trying to eliminate some of the obstacles. I'm also living in two countries. So I'm in the States and I'm in Canada. And I'm just struck by kind of how much more opportunity there is in the States for assistants and associates and for people to move up and move through the industry without ever hitting a period where they're just getting paid nothing.
Yeah.
When I came to Canada and I was like, okay, I want to choreograph. I want to go into that area. I was told, that, okay, great. We'll start saving now and add onto your resume as you're going through. If you can, add an assistant credit, add all of those little credits while you're also being the dance captain and doing 1,000 other things. Is there a way where that position can be paid separately, and how does that work, and what does that look like, and is it even possible in this country, and can we make that happen, became the conversations that all of us started to have. And how do we foster more people coming up through the industry with the appropriate training, because that's the stuff that costs money. It costs money and it costs time. And as an artist, as a woman in your 30s or whatever age, in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, doesn't matter. Socioeconomically, we're not able to just be like, okay, I'm just not going to get paid for 6 months, especially even more so now coming out of the pandemic. It just makes it so challenging to move through in different ways. And so our conversations became, how do we support more people and different kinds of people and different
Exactly.
kinds of voices and brains, and how do we bring all of that into our industry, because the art becomes better with more brains and more diverse thoughts.
Exactly. And I think it's really important to say that everyone who is sitting on this board of directors have come up as assistants and associates. Almost every single one of us have been in that position before. Most of us have been performing artists and have had to go through the rigors and the challenges. And that's also why it's really important that people like Stafford Arima, Ray Hogg, Julie Tomeno, Steph Graham, myself, Steve Coda, both of you who are trying to move up in that area and go forward, Claire Sakaki, Renalta Arluck, like all of these individuals have all had to come up against the challenges that you're talking about. So I think it bears saying that each of us have had to deal with this for a long, long time. And myself personally, coming up as an assistant and associate, I mean, for years, I can say none of us, absolutely none of us on that panel or on that board made money. We're paid to be assistants and associates. Almost never. You were given a title, but your responsibilities were nebulous at best. Dance captains always do way more than what they're supposed to be by definition. So I think the other thing we're trying to create is really strong definitions and really strong job description of who these people are and what it means to do the job. And like you said, make it possible for people to be paid, because you're right, they are positions of privilege. If I can afford to do it, or I've worked enough as a performer, I've put stuff away, and I'm willing to work for, generally speaking, nothing for 8 weeks. Almost none of us can do that. It might have been easier in the olden days when it was me, but it wasn't much easier. It really wasn't. And there was nothing there that helped us. So yeah, you're absolutely right. This is why we need to do that.
And then it does, because not everybody can do those steps. And as you said, everybody on our board has been an assistant and associate. Like, that is the on-the-job training that you need in order to successfully be able to move up and fulfill those positions. You need that on-the-job training. And because not everybody can do that, we're limiting the creative potential that we have in Canadian arts and on stages and theaters. Like, there's so many creative people that need to show their work and show what they can do. And because it's not possible, we don't always get to see and develop further, expand who knows what could happen to Canadian theater if more people were given the opportunity to continue their artistic practice and education and hold those higher creative spots in the hierarchy of Canadian theater.
Yeah, I think we're trying to also, for me, certainly demystify what that is. I think there's often a misconception that there's some kind of secret or some kind of secret society, or like, what is it that you can do? It really isn't. It all comes from the fact that, unfortunately, in order to do a piece, there always has to be someone who has the last word, or it is chaos. In any theaters, there is someone who is responsible for the stewardship of a show. There has to be someone who says yes or no at the end of the day, or you can't get anything done, because there is a timeline, there are budgets, there are people that you do have to answer to. The director isn't the ultimate, right? There are producers and artistic directors and boards of directors in theaters who work really hard to give us the money to do the projects that we want to do. And so there is a responsibility there as well. But all of this is demystifying what it is in there. I talked about the loneliness of being a creative up there. Like when it's the creative team and it's you and a choreographer, or if you're the director choreographer and your musical director and stage management and your dance captain, that's it. Oh, and your set designer and lighting and costumes. But there's nobody else that you go, hey, how the heck, when you have to make decisions. And so, yeah, it's about demystifying what this process is, making it possible for others to come in. But what I also wanted to just address, Jen, is that our industry in Canada is a third of the size of the United States. It is so small. And once you start working in it, you realize how small it is. And it can be insular. Mm-hmm. And the kind of opportunities that should be available aren't due to one size, due to limitations of theaters' budgets and funding and support. Yeah. And until, this is me going, wah, 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 until the government of Canada actually believes, and our society believes, that the live arts in all areas is incredibly important, that our artists are important, we're not going to get a lot further. We're going to have to figure out how to do this a different way, because the first thing that any government does is they cut funding to the arts. Mm-hmm. And if you cut funding to the arts, you limit the ability for any artist to be creative, to have a voice. So until that changes and we have more of that, we're always going to run up against it. So that's why it's also important for us to try and provide some other source of funding for individuals who want to do this for a living and want to express themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And education is the key through all of it as well, yeah. Because the more you know, the more you learn you don't know. You know, if there's a way for people to get paid throughout that, you know, educational period, and I mean by being an assistant and associate and receiving a paycheck, because you did it, like you had said before, you and Stafford and Ray and all of these incredible people who are really our industry leaders, you guys all figured out a way to do it. But then what's so incredible is that you've all got together and said, okay, that was really hard.
Yeah.
Let's make it not that hard for the next generation.
Yeah.
And then the generation, which is, so then when Kai and I come knocking, you're like, yes, okay, great. Let's all jump to it and make this happen, which for us is like, oh my God. But it really is, it's incredible. And I think it's going to change the face of Canadian theatre, hopefully. I just wanted to read out loud our mandate. So we've said the Canadian Guild of Stage Directors and Choreographers, CGDC, advocates for rights, interests, and protection of professional Canadian stage directors and choreographers. CGDC also aims to provide formalized mentorship and training opportunities for current and future generations of directors and choreographers, while fostering a community that is safe and an inclusive space for all its members. There we are. All the brains getting together to try and figure it out, right?
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about how being an assistant or an associate benefited you and your career?
Well, it certainly gave me, like anything, hands-on, actual practical experience, and from a different side of things. Right? From a different perspective. It's one thing to be the performer watching it happen. It's another whole experience to be sitting next to the people who are creating and start understanding everything that goes into it. It's not just about, as a DC or an assistant, I know the choreo, I'm going to do that. I know the blocking, I'll help them. It's listening to the discussions between all those creatives sitting at the front, all the considerations, all the budgetary considerations, all the things. I mean, when you direct a show, you usually get a budget that you have to sign and agree to. You don't have carte blanche. Once you're in production, all of those decisions have been made already. Like sometimes a year to a year and a half before, you've had to sit down and figure out what kind of show you're doing, what's happening, what the set is, what all of those things that most people don't consider, that the work that goes in prior to getting even close to auditions or to rehearsal has all been done. So when people would say, oh, I'd love to be an assistant, can I come in and assist you? And you say, absolutely. Okay. So I'm afraid that all of the set design has been done like long ago, or okay, we're a year out, I need you to be at these meetings. And they're like, what? Why? I can't, I'm doing something else. And I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. But this is where the nitty gritty happens, not just in the room. There are decisions. So being an assistant or an associate really gave me, you know, a heads up on all of those things, right? Before you walk into the room, doing it for yourself the first time and going, or not having done the work that needs to be done prior to that. So yeah, I think that doing that prepared me in a way that gave me such a greater breadth of understanding of everything. Things that you can't actually learn. Like, I don't have an MFA. I didn't go to school for directing. I did it all through experience. And like I said, I had some amazing mentors, but I also took initiative myself and asked people that I respected if I could come in and sit and learn. And that's all that place of privilege where I had money to do it, or I was willing to give up other things in order to do that, because you don't get paid for that. I never got paid for that, unless obviously as you move forward in your career, when you're an associate on a big show, well, yeah, you're salaried for that, you know, like all those things. But that initial stuff was all me going, how do I do this myself?
Wonderful. So yes, we are calling people to come join our membership. If that's you, if this speaks to you, if you want to come hang with us and advance the industry, like I said, cgdcweb.com. We are going to move into advice then as we wrap up here. Tracey, can you give us some advice for aspiring directors?
Well, listen. Yes. I would say listen to yourself, listen to your colleagues, listen to your collaborators. It's about, and when I say collaborators, it's about collaboration and community. It's why I decided to do what I did. It's why I came to the art form, not only as a way to express myself, but because, you know, you get to be with a group of like-minded individuals. Mm-hmm. I think leave your ego at the door. This is not a place for ego. The best rooms I've ever worked in as an artist are places where the people perhaps that are the stewards of the production, because they have a generosity of spirit, they can hear other people's ideas. Leave your ego at the door. In my rooms, I always say, and you guys have heard me say this, best idea wins. And it should. The best idea should win. And it doesn't matter where it comes from. So I would say leave your ego at the door, be collaborative. It's a community. At the end of the day, you have to say yes or no. That's just the way it goes, because decisions have to be made in a timely respect. But respect that. You are stewards of people's work. As an assistant or an associate, I will say that that's one of the things you have to learn right away, is that it's your job to maintain the integrity of someone else's vision. It's not your job to change it. And so it's really important, no matter how frustrated you are by something, it's a great lesson in being in humility and being able to respect that. When it's your work, you have a responsibility to direct with kindness, to direct with openness, and honestly be joyful. If you're not there for the right reasons, it doesn't mean that work's not going to be hard. But if we can't laugh at the end of the day, get the heck out of Dodge. It's not worth it. It really isn't. It's all about the joy of what we do and those opportunities. It's such a gift to be with other artists, to be able to share all that. Don't take it for granted. And be wise, be kind.
That's
and don't and egoless in a way. You know, you have to have some ego. I'm not saying we don't, everybody does, but you know, it's a daunting thing standing up in the front of a room at the beginning of a rehearsal process, as excited as everybody is. It's like, can I make this? Can I do this? Will it be the way I'd hoped it would? And most often, if you do all those things I said, the things that I have learned over my time, it's better than what you thought it was going to be. Because you open yourself to possibility. And that's what it is. Open yourself to possibility.
Open yourself to possibility. That is so beautiful. Some of these moments, I think we could talk to Tracey about directing and the art form and all of that for another 5 podcasts, and just to pick at Tracey's brain and get all of that good stuff. And I'll share with our listeners as well that listening to Tracey and Ray Hart and Ronelsa and Stafford and all of these wonderful people sit around and talk about the ins and outs of directing and choreographing on all of these shows is so inspiring to Kyla and we sometimes just cry listening to them all. So we are so
I sometimes just cry too.
So we are so excited to share it all with you. We've been kind of chipping away and working hard behind the scenes for over a year at this.
Almost 2 actually now, I think, right? I think it's almost 2. Since we also just started talking about what this needed to be, right?
Yeah.
And how the industry needs to change and how the industry needs to evolve, and all of taking the wonderful things from the industry and bringing that forward. And none of it would happen if there weren't beautiful, generous spirits such as yourself, Tracey.
Oh my gosh.
Focused and keen on creating a better future for us all. So I'm just going to wrap up what Tracey said throughout our little interview here. She said that live arts matter. She said mentorship is essential in the business. The love of the art form is essential. She advised to take the influences that resonate deeply with you. Take them with you as you move forward. Ask yourself, what have I learned from this? What would I never put an artist through? How can we create a better future? Demystifying Canadian theatre is so important in our advocacy for inclusivity. We need government support, she said. We need funding for the arts. And then Tracey advised us to listen. It's about collaboration and community. Leave your ego at the door. Thank you, Tracey Flye, for paying it forward and making a better future for us all tomorrow. Thank you for being in our community. The community is better with you in it. Thank you for finding the joy. We love you, Tracey.
We
appreciate you.
5, 6, 7, 8. Bitches are lit.
Titties out.
Turkey's done.
Tracey Flye.
Perfect. It's there. She'll hate us for saying this, but what a masterclass. She is humble, smart, and direct, and oh man, has she lived through it all. She knows. I learned so much from this woman who is so generous and dedicating so much of her life to paying it forward. We loved chatting with our girl, Tracey Flye. We have so much more to learn from Tracey as she continues to pave the way for so many of us in this industry. But for now, we say thank you, Tracey Flye. If you liked what you heard today, legends, show us some love. Leave a review, a comment, a share, a like. We love it all. If you want to hear more about our Canadian Guild of Stage Directors and Choreographers, the CGDC, that we chatted about today, head on over to our website. That's cgdcweb.com, and our Insta there is at official CGDC. And you know where to find us, legends. Our Insta is at Tits and Teeth Podcast. Our Twitter is at Teeth Tits, and our website is titsandteethpodcast.com. That's it. That's all for now. So remember, whatever you're facing today, keep those tits up, those teeth out, because you got this, we got you, and we bloody love ya.